we cannot, begin to look beyond what we are blessed with. Ivory Coast are the host, so we expect a colorful atmosphere at the Alassane Ouattara today. Uh, Ivory Coast themselves have, done well in terms of organization, in terms of infrastructure. Everything is set in other areas like San Pedro, Yamoussoukro, to mention but a few. But here in Abidjan is where, everything is packed in the center. You know, host of countries are based here. Ghana is based here. Egypt too, a little bit in and around there. So it makes it spicy, with the city filled up and its traffic, like Lagos traffic. Media could spend about an hour or 30 minutes heading to the stadium from where they are currently lodged. Well, it's exciting. Looking at the game today, I'll start from the camp of the Super Eagles. The big news coming in, Clinton, yesterday was that Victor Osimhen joined training. So that's very, very good for the Super Eagles that he joined training. But there's a fly in the ointment. Alassane Yusuf, the guy who, ran himself into the ground, is out of this clash. Well, his injury, it was first feared that he will be out for a long time, but now the fears have been allayed. So Alassane will just be sitting out the Cote d'Ivoire game, and hopefully he returns in the final game against Guinea-Bissau. And we hope that we don't need too much in that game to scale through, that we can do the business today against the Ivorians. But there was a controversy, Clinton. There was a controversy. I don't know if you've seen it. It's laughable, but it's embarrassing at the same time, in the sense that Sadiq Umar, who was injured while in camp in Abu Dhabi, and the team doctors had ascertained that he wouldn't make the competition, because of the length of the injury. It was something at the back of his knee. So he was ruled out of the competition. But surprisingly, Real Sociedad named their team for the Copa del Rey, and in midweek, Sadiq Kumar was listed because he had trained about 2 days before the match. So that left a lot, to be desired in the social media space, and it's got tongues wagging a lot, because the team doctors here from the NFF need to explain. There's so much, mix up. There's so much mix up, So yeah, it's not a good image at all about that. But moving away from that now, we are good with Osimhen, the marksman, back in the fold. Nigeria created handful of chances in the first game against Equatorial Guinea, but was unable to take them. But we hope that if they can fashion out, such chances against the hosts in a hostile atmosphere, that at the end of the day, we can fancy something. If not the win, a draw. But it's a game we cannot afford to lose. Let me go over to the Ivorian camp. They have a lot to worry us. It seems everything has been stable for them, but you can never know what's on the inside. So facing a team like Nigeria will give us a fair size clue as to where Ivory Coast is currently at the moment. I think they are top five in terms of favorites to win the competition, but you can never really tell. So it's good this game is coming now, so that both of them can test themselves. Ivory Coast, it's not go out there. Yeah, it's go out there and win, but it's not a win at all costs for them. It's a game that even if they do not win, I don't see them being in danger too much, because they could easily beat Equatorial Guinea in the final game. So the onus will be on Nigeria, to take the game to the Ivorians and try to see if they can get a goal. An early goal, is good, but the first goal is very crucial. In big games like this, the first goal is usually very crucial. If Nigeria takes the lead, and then with the experience that they have, let's not forget that we have very experienced players in the team, players that have been around themselves for about 6 to 7 years, players that have played at World Cup finals, players that have played at AFCON up until, the semifinals. So it's a team that if they go in front, we can have those guys control things for them. So we're looking forward to, a vociferous atmosphere today in Ivory Coast, where the hosts take on the Super Eagles.
Distinguished Senator John Owen Eno, the Minister of Sport, did send a message to boast the performance of the Super Eagles. The federal government, on their own part, have made it. This is the very first time in history that the team will not be talking of lack of finances, lack of all this. The ball is in the court of the Super Eagles. From what you are feeling, the fans and everything surrounding the Super Eagles, a win is a must for the Super Eagles. How much confidence do you have on Team Super Eagles over the Elephants of Ivory Coast?
Well, my confidence is not high at the moment. It's not high at the moment because not just the game against Equatorial Guinea. In the build-up to this game, we lost to Guinea in Abu Dhabi. And then we had 2 draws, one in Uyo and the other one away from home in Kigali in the World Cup qualifier. So we've not started that on a good note. You know, in competitions, you usually look at the last 5 games of teams building up to the competitions, and that's where our confidence level is at the moment because it's not high, and we've not won games, we've not won enough. I don't think the manager can look at his record with the Super Eagles and be proud of it. But he has an opportunity today. Nigeria has an opportunity to change that, and that's the beauty of life, that for every time the clock turns up until 12, you have the opportunity for a new day. Today is a new day for them. They need to go out and do the job. Yeah, good, support from the ministry as usual, Ministry of Sport, and then the NFF, good support too. But I also call on, top people in the country, philanthropists to come together. It's not just one set of people that you hear every time. Others too can do it, and do it on a low key too, to support the Eagles. The guys need the support. The journalists and media need the support here too, because things are very expensive and on a sky high. Yes, about 5 days, it's almost $250 or $300, as the case may be, that someone has spent on, infra-transport, feeding, and a little bit of miscellaneous. So housing is expensive, everything is expensive. So philanthropies, not just for the players, also for the media, to continue to give, excellent coverage of what's happening here in Abidjan.
About the media, I understand the big boy himself, the sport writers president, stormed the city yesterday. That is a big motivation for writers. But David, let's still stay in the game. Nigeria and Ivory Coast have met a record of 7 times, and there's no clear difference among these two. Today will be the 7th time, and it's 3-4 and 3 against. Today is history. Today is a day that both teams will have the lead as far as this is concerned. We are fully aware that the player for Ivory Coast will not be in action, but looking at Osimhen's coming back to training, it's a welcome one. Do you think we should take further risks with a player that is carrying the entire country in his shoulder? Is he fit for this game, David?
Yes, he's fit. He's been past fit. It was a precautionary measure that kept him out after the Equatorial Guinea game. He's someone who recovers very fast, and is someone who is also prone to little niggles here and there, so it's risky, but the risk is worth it. He needs to spearhead the attack. He's the leader of the team. When he scores goals, the confidence, spreads across his teammates, and there's just something about goals of a big striker that it does to his team. So yes, the team might not be at the level of some other teams collectively, but the individual brilliance of Victor Osimhen, can change things around. When he scores, his team usually wins. That is a good omen. That is a good statistic. So today, yes, we are tied with the Ivorians. There needs to be a lead. But my inkling feeling is going for a draw. For the the wishes of Nigerians are that we win the game outrightly. But if it ends in a draw, I'll still take it.
In a draw, then the last match must be a must-win because for just 2 points cannot see Nigeria. Even on the best losers, 2 points cannot see a team through in a CAF competition like this. So we are going for an out-win. How possible? I know the Elephant will be coming for a consolation. At least a second win for them will see them through.
Yes. Then they would like to do the job as soon as possible, to ensure that in the final game they can give rest to some of their key legs and offer opportunities to the others who haven't kicked the ball yet. That's the beauty of competition. When a team has 6 points from the first two games, the final game they use it to give the opportunity to the other 11. You know, Ivory Coast would love to do this and do it very, very quickly. They've started well, 3 points in the first game, and they would love to, put the Eagles under pressure from the word go with their 12th man, which is the crowd they are backing. But Nigeria is an experienced team. It's a very experienced team, and I hope they can subdue the atmosphere, in the first 5-10 minutes and then begin to express themselves. Or why not? We can start off to a flyer. Who says we can't start off to a flyer? It's all about the good passing, good tempo of the game, and not giving the ball away cheaply in areas that could cause danger for the team. And then that's about that. I think we are very big. We are a big sized team, so it's not as if the Ivorians will do pepper us with aerial balls. We are also a very big sized team. And here's where Osimhen comes in again. You see, he's so influential in the team. He does a job on the other side of the pitch, and then defensively too, he still has a job to do, which is defending set pieces. So, Nigeria is blessed to have someone like him. And I believe today is that day where the king, will roar like a lion.
The mighties are falling. We'll take a look at Ghana. We'll look at South Africa. But between Nigeria and Ivory Coast, who can you classify as the mighty? And have it at the back of your mind that the mighty are falling.
The mighty are falling. Tunisia fell to Namibia, and then Ghana to Cape Verde. There's been a draw between Egypt, and what's the other guys called? A 2-2 draw. Egypt salvaging a point late in the game. If you look at these games, the giant-killing teams, have had to escape because of the profligacy of the Sharks. Like Nigeria, Equatorial Guinea, it should have been 3 points for Nigeria. Osimhen himself, missed a couple of chances, and there were clear-cut chances, which he didn't put away. And then
Fantastic.
Tunisia, looking at the game against Namibia, the Carthage Eagles created a handful of opportunities to have scored, but they didn't score. At the end of the day, you saw what happened. Namibia, coming in to give them a bite on the backside. And that is the same thing that has happened. But again, like the slogan goes, no grief for anybody. It's looking like the teams here in the Nations Cup at the AFCON, are saying, we no go grief for you. We need to fight and, run ourselves into the ground. So that's it. And it's fascinating for football spirit and football lovers.
Let's leave the Super Eagles calm because in the afternoon our focus will be there. Let's go straight to South Africa. Bafana. Any hope for them, for the Egyptians, for Tunisia, as well as Cameroon, talking about the big boys, and a shocking defeat for the Black Stars of Ghana. David, do you think we'll have a neutral champion this year?
Yes, we might have something, but not neutral. We would have something, in and around Cameroon, Morocco, Nigeria, and Senegal, the defending champions. Those were my picks for the teams who are favored to win the AFCON. It's on my Twitter at TVTop772. It's a pin tweet there where I wrote out and I gave my reasons why. And, so I believe we are not going to see an outsider win the Nations Cup. Senegal are looking good. They started off to a flyer. If other teams do not match them, at the end of the day, they might be trouble. And let's not also hide the fact that we could come against Senegal, depending on where we finish in our group, because it's Group A and Group C. So we need to avoid that clash as early as possible. We can't afford that in the round of 16. I'm not getting too ahead of myself. Yes, I know we have a job to do today, but we also need to look into the future and know our possible opponents in the round of 16. I would fancy Cameroon that if they qualify, to face than Senegal, because they are looking rampaging even in these early stages. So, Mr. Clinton, I don't think a neutral would do it. I think it's outside those 4 countries I've mentioned. Ghana are unrecognizable. South Africa, Bafana, perennial underachievers. They struggle. Bafana could win against the top team today, and they lose in a stretch to teams on paper they should easily beat. So I don't take them serious. I don't know why, the team Bafana is not doing well for years now. That's in stark contrast to what we have with the Banyana, the women's team in South Africa. So I don't take South Africa serious at all. And then Ghana, I think it's going to be difficult. If you look at the last 10 matches for Ghana in the AFCON, the record speaks for itself. It's not great at all. Something needs to change. They have good players, they have vibrant young players who could make the difference. But as a team, I still don't see that in the Black Stars.
David, before I let you go, let's look at the team that is ranked African best in history, occupying number 13 overall. I'm talking about Morocco, who went to the World Cup and made history, the first African side to reach the semi-final of FIFA World Cup. They are in the Cup of Nations, and history seems to be forgotten so fast. Morocco chances from the group. Is there anything to talk about the big boys?
Yes, of course. The consensus is that Morocco, will go far into the semi-finals and even the finals. And, they gave a lot of people who predicted that, saying, okay, you said this and it's happening. With a 3-0 thrashing in their opening game yesterday, scintillating display on the right-hand side, we could see variety. There was variation in their play. Hakimi, Ziyech, all combining well. Sofiane Amrabat to mention but a few. And they have a reliable goalkeeper in Yassine Bono. It's a good team. It's a good team, the best in Africa, in terms of their World Cup exploit in Qatar. So they are a good side. Yes, Senegal are the defending champions of the AFCON, but Morocco are, continuing to grow in leaps and bounds, and it wouldn't be too long before they can smell the coffee and go for it. I believe they can do better than they've done in previous AFCON competitions. And this one in Ivory Coast is a very good opportunity for them.
Let's hope so. David, I want to say merci beaucoup in French, but I like to say thank you very much, David. And we hope that when the Super Eagles will come up in afternoon Nigerian time against Ivory Coast, it will be a win for the Super Eagles.
Hopefully, Clinton. Thank you for the opportunity. Always a pleasure.
David is our sport analyst all the way in Ivory Coast, giving us updates and situation report on all the matches that will be going on in the 2023 African Cup of Nations taking place in 2024. David has been an in-house analyst on Global TV. Let's take a break. When we come back, we look at head-on between Nigeria and Ivory Coast and perhaps find a solution to the game that will be coming. Meanwhile, Pius Ideko will also be joining us. He is close to the Nigerian Football Federation, NFF. He will be telling us if they have stopped praying or they are still praying for a win for the Super Eagles. Don't go away. This is Talk Sport. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll take you straight more in Abidjan because it is the 23rd edition of the African Cup of Nations, and the fans and the best of African football, it's at your hand. Go nowhere. Talk Sport and Global TV, Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. Glad to have you back on the program. TalkSport right here on Global TV, Nigeria's capital city. We are looking at the ongoing African Cup of Nations, and our focus today is in Group A, where we have the Elephants of Ivory Coast as hosts, and of course the Super Eagles of Nigeria as 3 times the winners of the African Cup of Nations. Nigeria is going into the game with just 1 point, having played a 1-all draw against its first match against Equatorial Guinea. For the host Elephants, they are going into the game with plus 3 points, having defeated their opponent in the first game by 2 goals to 1 to give Ivory Coast the leadership of the ongoing African Cup of Nations in Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast topped the group with a total of 3 points. Nigeria is second with 1 point. As also second in 1 point is Equatorial Guinea, while Guinea-Bissau will have to wait for their next match against Guinea. Talking about double Guinea, Equatorial Guinea and Guinea-Bissau will be going for 3 points. A winner between the two teams will brighten its chances of making it to beyond the group stage of the African Cup of Nations. For the game between Nigeria and, of course, Ivory Coast is a must-win game for the Super Eagles. Let's tell you that both teams have met a record of 3 times, 6 times, a total of 8 times with 8 wins, of course, 10 draws, and of course, 5 wins in all. But on statistics, it shows that in 1967, Nigeria versus Ivory Coast, that game ended goalless. It was African Cup of Nations. And in 1967 again, Nigeria versus Ivory Coast. Unfortunately, the Ivorian ran away with a 2-goals win over Nigeria. And on the 31st of May 1967, Nigeria versus Ivory Coast, the game ended in 1-all draw. And of course, in 1967, Ivory Coast versus Nigeria, it was an international friendly. It ended 3-2 in favor of Ivory Coast. In 1975, precisely on the 7th of September, Ivory Coast and Nigeria, the game ended 1-all. It was an international friendly. And of course, on 10 June 1977, Nigeria versus Ivory Coast, it was the West African qualifiers that led to the FIFA qualifier. It ended 4-0 in favor of the Elephant. And on the 24th of July 1977, Ivory Coast and Nigeria World Cup qualifier, it ended 2-all for both sides. And of course, in 1980, Nigeria, Ivory Coast, African Cup of Nations, it was goalless situation for both teams. And on the 16th of June, 1987, Nigeria, Ivory Coast, an international friendly. Both teams have met severally. It ended goalless situation. And on, of course, 19 June 1985, put that down on your diary, Nigeria defeated Ivory Coast by 2-0. It was an international friendly, and both teams met again in 1985, June 23rd, international friendly again, and it ended 1-all. Both teams are not visitors to each other. And of course, 1987, in the All-Africa game, it was a goalless situation. The Ivorian took the lead again on the 18th of January 1987 as they pipped Nigeria by 1-0 in an All-Africa game. And in the UEFA Championship, both teams met in Kasafa, and it was also in favor of the Super Eagles, who also thrashed them by 2-0. The both teams are expected to meet today in the African Cup of Nations. A win for the Super Eagles is what many Nigerians are expecting. A win will confirm Nigeria with 4 points from 2 matches, while a win for Ivory Coast will automatically give them a ticket to the next stage of the ongoing African Cup of Nations. Have it at the back of your mind that this time around is a group where we have what we call the best loser, because the 24 teams are participating in the African Cup of Nations. Just as we hardly heard from our man David, who joined us all the way from Ivory Coast, the winner and the runners-up winner from Group A will meet Group B, would meet Group C, I beg your pardon. And Group C, we have 2 mighties, talking about defending champions, the Taranga Lions of Senegal and the indomitable Lions of Cameroon. These 2 teams are likely to make it to the next stage of the competition. Let's take another break. Hopefully, Paya will join us, and then we'll still look at what will be happening between the 2 teams. Don't go away. This is TalkSport right here in Nigeria's capital city. It's Global TV Abuja. There will be plenty of actions today. It will be Nigeria against, of course, Ivory Coast, and Guinea will be up against Equatorial Guinea for Group A. And in Group B, one team is already standing taller than the Egyptians. I'm talking about Cape Verde. Cape Verde are occupying Group B with a total of 3 points, leaving Egypt and Mozambique for second and third place respectively with just 1 point to show, while the Black Stars of Ghana are at the bottom of Group B, no point, no goal in the ongoing African Cup of Nations. Let's take you to Group C. Group C has Teranga Lions, defending champions. They made no mistake in their first match against Gambia, and they defeated Gambia to gain 3 points and, of course, 3 goals in the ongoing African Cup of Nations in the group that has former host country Cameroon. Cameroon are second on the group with just 1 point. Guinea also has 1 point, and Gambia it's at the bottom with just 0 point. And let's take you straight to Group D. Group D has 13 runners-up, talking about the team that played against Nigeria in the final. I'm talking about Burkina Faso. That game ended one, of course, of blessed memory, talking about Stephen Keshi, who was the coach of the Super Eagles. Until today, the Eagles have been struggling to win the African Cup of Nations. They are in Ivory Coast in a slogan, call it, let's do it again. It's an extract from when they won the Cup of Nations in faraway Ivory Coast. Burkina Faso in faraway South Africa. Burkina Faso is on the group that has a total of 3 points. Algeria is in that group, Angola and Mauritania. Algeria and Angola played a 1-1 draw. Both teams have A in their names, and so they made no difference. In Group E, we have Mali Eagles, Namibia, Tunisia, and South Africa. The Eagles of Mali are occupying the first position with a total of 3 points. Namibia also have 3 points, but on goal difference, of course, Mali Eagles are ahead of them. The group has Tunisia, third place, and South Africa, Bafana occupying the bottom. Talking about two mighties in African football. Tunisia, you can call them. South Africa, will you call them one of the mighties? But they hosted in home soil in 1990 and won the championship. Some will say the motivation of Madiba Mandela was all they needed. And since then, South Africa has not won the African Cup of Nations, even playing the finals. But they are at the bottom. Hopefully, they can spring up. Can they spring? Let's see. They are in the group that has Mali, Namibia, Tunisia, and of course they are there. In Group F, we have Africa #1 team, talking about the team that went to the semi-final and made history. Cameroon were the first team in the history of football to reach the quarterfinal, and it was in Italy 90 in the days of Roger Milla. After that, the Teranga Lions of Senegal showed that they are. And of course, when Africa hosted the World Cup, you can call it at home soil. The Black Stars of Ghana were there in the quarterfinal. But today, Morocco is leading Africa. They have seen it all in the semi-final. Taking their experience into the African Cup of Nations, they are occupying the #1 position. They have played just one match, and they made no mistake. They have 3 points and 3 goals, standing taller than Democratic Republic of Congo and Zambia, talking about the Chipolopolo. We say, God, thank you for what happened. Nearly, we prayed it didn't happen, and it didn't happen. They are playing almost, but we say they are in action, talking about the Chipolopolo of Zambia. They are in that group alongside Democratic Republic of Congo and Tanzania, all behind Morocco, Africa #1 team, occupying the 13th place overall, and they are a team to beat. Fantastic football we saw from the boys of Morocco. Let's hope the Casablanca boys will be up to date when it comes to victory for Africa. But action today will resume. Both teams are talking tough. The coach of the Super Eagles, Pistero, says his boys are in high spirit, and Nigerians also are in high spirit. A total of 500 fans have stormed Ivory Coast to join other Nigerians in that country with one mission, which is to cheer the Super Eagles to victory. And Sport Minister John Owen Eno, distinguished senator, is leading the pack of those hoping that today's game will be a wonderful game for the Super Eagles. Government have done its part. Fans have done its part. Let's see what the boys will do today. It's a game that we truly want to follow. This is how far we can go on today's edition of the program, Talk Sport, right here on Global TV, Nigeria's capital city. But before we go, let's tell you that both teams have met severally, a record of 8 times, and there is no clear winner. But today there will be a winner, and it will be a moment to celebrate. Will Nigeria grab 3 points today? It will give Nigeria 4 points. But if we manage to avoid defeat and go home with a draw, we'll just be talking with just only 2 points in the ongoing championship. For the host side, they have the advantage. The fans will be with them, but Nigeria is a no-do country. We have it. Let's do it again. Before we do it again, we must put them aside. It will be recalled that in 2013, when Nigeria met Ivory Coast in South Africa, many tipped South Africa as the venue for Ivory Coast to defeat Nigeria. But the boys went there and conquered Ivory Coast, defeated Ivory Coast, and took a bold step. And at the end of the day, we were crowned champion. So it will be today when we will take on Ivory Coast, a team that has all it takes at home soil. Enjoy the rest of your day, and when we come tomorrow, we'll be in the mood of celebration. My name is Clinton saying, have a wonderful sporting day ahead of you.
controversy even got picked up by Western media and sparked a worldwide debate about anti-black racism in China.
And today, what I found on the internet was so disgusting, and I just can't keep this to myself.
But for me, this wasn't just another online discussion. I was living in China at the time and had experienced these attitudes firsthand. In the end, the internet moved on, but I couldn't get it out of my head. Where was it shot? Why was it made? Who was it who took a bunch of young African kids, happy, excited kids, and made them chant something so demeaning? Those questions sent me on a journey into an industry that is exploiting kids across Africa. I was shocked by what I heard along the way, but In the end, I found my answers.
你为什么要拍这些视频呢？
I'm Renako Salina, a writer and journalist. Although I'm now based in London, I lived in China for several years, studying Chinese and working in Beijing. I loved it there, but I didn't always feel welcome. As a black woman in a country with a tiny black population, I experienced countless instances of racism. Sometimes indirectly, but often right in my face. And I soon realized I wasn't the only one. See, I wasn't new to racism before China. It's a global problem. But I'd never been anywhere that made it quite so difficult to speak out. I felt black people in China needed a space to unpack these experiences. So I decided to take a risk. I created Black Liberty China, an online space and website to start that conversation.
Hello, 大家好, and welcome to another episode of the Black Liberty China podcast. I'm your host, Renako Salina.
One of my guests is Wadamaya, a Ghanaian who's built one of the most popular YouTube channels in the whole of Africa. Wadamaya, like me, used to live in China and speaks Chinese. In February 2020, he used his platform to make a scalding denunciation of the low IQ video.
How on earth would you allow foreigners to come into your country to exploit your own people and at the same time insult the entire black people of this world?
Wadamaya joined the podcast via Zoom.
When my friend sent me the video, listen, I was heartbroken, I was very angry as an African. But I speak and understand Chinese, so I felt like I was the right person to speak against it since I had the platform, just to share the word across the world that, these people are actually taking advantage of Africans living in Africa.
What would you say to people who say, oh, it's just one video, doesn't matter, let it go, forget about it?
This is not just one video, it's millions of videos that one of them just came out. We need to address these issues for the world to know that this is what is happening and it needs to change.
Wadamaya's right. This isn't just one video. The low IQ video is part of a massive industry. In China, over the last few years, it's become a thing to send personalized greeting videos via social media and messaging apps. Happy birthday. Good luck in your exams. Congrats on your wedding. These videos typically sell for anything between $10 and $70 US. For some weird reason, videos featuring Africans have become especially popular. Sometimes it's groups of young muscle men. Other times it's women in fancy dress. Often it's kids, usually standing around a blackboard, shouting these greetings in Chinese. The content can be innocent enough. You might even think they're cute. But some of them are, well... In this one, for example, the producer gets the kids